Hello YouTube and welcome back to The Zone, where today, ladies and gentlemen, we have got another Christian article to digest, and this one is particularly very exceptional because, as some of you guys may know or not, on my gaming channel Raging Nightmare, I originally started doing a Let's Play of Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 1, and I don't know what the hell happened to it. I just felt as if, like, at my first death, I just thought to myself, I'll come back to it at some other point. I'll come back to it a little later, and I never got right back to it. And I generally do not know why. I do not know what was stopping me from just making more videos about that game. I don't know, maybe that'll change over the next couple of days. I just need something to reignite wanting to try out more video games. Unfortunately, what you're going to see, Hyperdimension Neptunia plays a large part into Chris's dismissal of all reality as we know it, and send him routinely down the spiral into madness. Hyperdimension Neptunia. I have had to personally astral project and share my power with Christine there. Chris on battling invading forces from a video game about video games. Now, I want to give you guys a little bit of context just before we go any further. This is technically Rebirth 1 that I mentioned is technically the remake of the very first game. In fact, the entire Rebirth trilogy is sort of like a rebooted version of the first three Hyperdimension Neptunia video games, because I believe that Hyperdimension Neptunia released, I believe, in 2011 or possibly 2012. But I'm not entirely sure what the reception was like on those games, because if it went over if the reception was quite well received, then there wouldn't have any need to like remake the games. But it turns out to have been a massive gamble and a massive payoff, because not only was the Rebirth trilogy a massive success, but it spawned numerous sequels to this very day, some of which we could be seeing on this on my gaming channel in the next couple of weeks, possibly. We'll just have to wait and see. Hyperdimension Neptunia is a series of role-playing video games created and developed by Idea Factory, and then was also co-made by Compile Heart. And actually, they also worked, I believe, with Unreal Engine for, what was it, Cyber Neptunia for Goddesses Online. I've heard that they used Unreal Engine for that, because that is a piece of software that I've personally worked on myself, just to create levels and games and that on my own. But I'll have to, I'm actually gonna maybe do something about that when the time comes. Games within the series take place in the world of game industry, which is meant to be a pun on the game industry, quite literally, which is divided into 4 regions/nations, each representing a specific video game console. Chris became a fan in late 2017, having been introduced to it by the Idea Guy and watching the anime based on it. The series would have a profound effect on Chris, inspiring him to indulge himself in a massive delusion that he was the CPU goddess of a massive dimensional merge. Invasion of Sea of Quickfill, and you can see here Chris trying to interact with the main character of the game. Get away or I'll call the police, and hey Nep, let's be gal pals, and Nep seems to have gotten the correct idea. Oh, I see, she's actually holding a can of mace. That's, I think Nep is making the correct choice. In early November 2017, Chris pleaded with his Facebook followers to share their love and shares with Neptune, Vert, Noir, and Blanc, and helped stop the wars that warrant in between. A few days later, Chris explained the enemy forces from game industry had invaded Quickville, because it's just stealing more things from other licensed properties. That's basically the cut and dry version of all of this. He explains that the only way to keep the enemies at bay is to play Hyperdimension Neptunia video games and watch the accompanying anime. You know, this is something that would probably only have worked for very gullible children, but Chris is a man in his late 30s, even as of, well, he was 35 as of the recordings of when he said this. So mid-30s Chris telling people to do this. I just want to remind everyone to please give your shares of kind thoughts to the goddesses of game industry. They really do help us and our reality. No, they don't. On the 14th of November 2017, he posted that Sylvana had been captured by a Russian billionaire and that the only way she could be returned safely was with the aid of a soldier based on the remove kebab meme and by people praying to the goddesses of game industry. A quartet of fictional deities. He called his plan Operation Barbarossa. Oh, I get it. I don't get it. In another bizarre plan of action, the same day, he uploaded a video called Freestyle Dance With Me for Our World. In it, he dons a tinfoil hat, so the man can't take over his mind, and dances awkwardly to polka music, claiming the video was for game industry and all the other worlds and dimensions. I'll be going over that video in a separate article in itself, but just to know that that is a thing that exists. On the 15th of November, Chris posted that Operation Barbarossa was a success. Was it though? Seeing Sylvana's return. Seeing, you mean he's the only person who sees her return. He claimed to have lost some soldiers, but kept the enemy back with the help of the CWC Defense Army Division, his Autobots, and his family. He also signed a peace treaty with Count Graduan, obtaining his troops and services, along with a large piece of land just outside Quickville. Chris apparently used the land to create prison camps, complete with large ovens to keep the prisoners warm and showers. What was it I was saying before about Chris not being a sociopath? Because that is something you would only in the realms of all that is fucking insane would anybody come up with something like that. And that is me being generous, because again, we've not even talked about Solitude number 10 amid every single thing else I've ever talked about. He claimed that the battle was won because of people praying to the game industry goddesses, body sharing with Uzume Tanoboshi, spirit possession. Uzume wasn't a character that wasn't into. She was in the technically it was the sequel to the third game, but technically it was also a spin-off. It was Hyperdimension. It was Mega Dimension Neptunia V2 generation or something like that. In fact, I'll show you what. I had to move some stuff around, so don't worry about that. Yeah, basically this. And but what's quite strange about that is that it's a sequel spin-off, but it's also technically 3 games in one. It's basically all of the main story, just 3 different parts, parts of a different narrative. There was Zero Dimension, Hyperdimension Neptunia G, and then Hyperdimension Neptunia H. Listen, again, you would have to start at the beginning to even begin to get a semblance of what's going on, so I'll try not to confuse things any further. Battery Charge Heart. Originally, Chris created this CPU to restore Christianity to his town, but I told him goddesses can't worship other gods. Now he uses her to end the rioting and war in Quickville. Buy the idea, guys. Battery Charge Heart, CPU of Quickville, Virginia, aka Tank Destroyer, was created by Chris in response to pressure from Idea Guy, describing the nightmarish state of Quickville. She made her debut on the 11th of December via a Facebook post. Fans were quick to point out how she is scantily clad and how it would be tough to fight in that outfit. Notice how short the skirt is. Yeah, exactly. You can actually freaking see her loading bay, as it were, almost from here. Even a Twitter white knight talked about being disappointed in Chris for making the strong female have this appearance. This originally uploaded image of Battery Charge Heart appears to include the bottom corner of a holographic Sabrina Pokemon card from the Gym Challenge set. Though the significance of this inclusion is likely to extend beyond being a visual symptom of Chris's compulsive hoarding of random crap. Her armor has Chris's initials on it. Her arsenal includes an exploding S2 ball launcher, a shield made from the best heavy-duty lightweight, which can withstand 10,000 pounds of pressure. What pressure exactly is a good question. Also, heavy-duty that is lightweight. I'm not entirely sure if those two things like go inside with each other. Heavy-duty lightning blade summoned from her subspace dimension, which can withstand 1 million plus pounds of force and cut through 100 tons of metal. No specific metal given, just in general. Know that the shield is 100 times weaker than the sword at protection. Her powers, yeah, because of how small it is. Her powers being able to rip a tank in half with her hands, being able to lift 5 tanks at once, wings which paralyze others on physical contact, aka she's so broken that absolutely she is as close as an actual god could possibly get. Which is quite ironic in some way, because even the goddesses in the Hyperdimension Neptunia games are not indestructible. Much like with Nightstar's array of vast mental powers, Battery Charge Heart's repertoire of incredible physical abilities marks her as yet another wish fulfillment fantasy. Marks her as yet another wish fulfillment power fantasy for Chris, who could barely rip cardboard in half and struggled with lifting 10-pound boxes of soda for bicep curls. She is heavily based on Wonder Woman. Her name is based on Battery Charge Heart by Color by Crayola, which is Chris's favourite. Considering that no original video game consoles are produced in Quickville, it is unclear which Battery Charge Heart is supposed to represent. Could this be a new form of Chris in the comics? Actually, that's a really big flaw as well, because the whole point of the CPUs in the first place is that they are supposed to represent a different video game console. I mean, I'll pop up something very, very quick here, and well, actually, it's better if I just go in order. This is Hyperdimension Neptunia invading Quickville. No idea what this brown turd is meant to be, but this is apparently go back to Zero Dimension. That's the thing I was talking about in V2. This is the CWC defense, comprised of another army, including Blanc, Rom, and Ram. Blanc is supposed to be representing Nintendo Wii, and I believe that was it Rom and Ram are supposed to be like the Nintendo DS, because like if you remember like the old DS sort of like logo, they would have like those two blocks on top of one another, so that's kind of what I think it was meant to represent. Chris depicts reality and fiction blending. Home, Magi-chan pointing at some consoles. Chris just touching his Sega Dreamcast, and then all of a sudden Big Nepsi from Zero Dimension pops up with Sylvana, and some shit happens. Some shit happens. The comic, that's what Sonichu is. And then Chris, via his Twitter, I don't quite know what date this was meant to be, but I think we'll find out. 12th of November 2017. I'm liking the expanded character count for the tweets now. Regardless, as I've re-encountered the past couple of weeks for y'all, I just want to remind everyone to please give your shares of kind thoughts to the goddesses of game industry. They really do help us and our reality. Yeah, apparently. Yeah. These would be the only, as opposed to you know, the Doctor from Doctor Who or something like that. In fact, the only reason I suspect Chris never brought up, you know, the Doctor is because the Doctor is not dressed like this. Yeah. This is just the only thing that actually looks cool about all this is that somebody did like a fan design. But even though it's technically, I mean, I see what they've done here with the CWC on like on the breastplate and all that. It's not quite as good. It's not quite the same as the quality of the characters in the games, but this is still really, really, really well made. Actually, I like the lightning bolts meant to represent like the wings. That's actually quite a nice touch. It certainly looks more like Wonder Woman than I would say a CPU, but that's not bad. The Ballad of Chris Chanuzume, thank goodness that's not there. And that, guys, literally was the end of it. That was the Hyperdimension Neptunia. Technically, that's just like not really a saga because it sort of spawned into, and it opened up into Chris's ever bleeding brain into let's just rip off everything that we actually like. We pretend that absolutely nothing is restricted or laid down, but we'll take these accounts in as a matter of course and just put them into our comic. In fact, actually, what's quite interesting is that apparently based on the I think he said like didn't he say that like his CPU form was based on the Commodore 64? And I don't technically know whether or not Chris is technically like copyrighted or anything like that, but let's assume for 1 second that if Idea Factory or Compile Heart made out another Neptunia game where they wanted to base something on the Commodore 64. No, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that if Idea Factories and Compile Hearts, they'll probably know their way around it because probably it's not recognized as copyrighted material. Plus, even if Chris did decide to, for whatever reason, get like involved in sort of like a loyal dispute, people will immediately, in fact, actually, lawyers, any court will bring up all of the infringements Chris has technically made, and the case would have been over before it really began. And slightly different from before because Nintendo and Sega would have to get involved in this. So, with all that being said and done, I hope you guys have enjoyed the Hyperdimension Neptunia reading, courtesy of the Quickie. Please make sure to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys thought of the article yourself. Please also make sure to also like and subscribe to get daily notifications when my videos come out. And I hope to see all of you guys again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye for now.